You see, nature did a wonderful thing. It gave us a brain that protects us from danger, but it never taught that brain how to build wealth. And that's the trap. Most people use their mind to stay safe, not to get free. They think in defense, not in destiny. So they work harder, but stay stuck. They earn more, but still worry. The difference between the average and the affluent isn't income, it's instruction. It's time to retrain the brain from survival mode to success mode. Let me tell you something that changed the entire direction of my life. Your mind is the factory of your future. Everything you will ever have, everything you will ever become, begins right up here. The mind is the greatest producer on earth. It manufactures your days, your decisions, and your destiny. The tragedy is that most people let their mind run like an untrained factory, producing junk thoughts, weak beliefs, and excuses. And then they're surprised when life delivers them poor results. But remember this, your brain will produce whatever you feed it. Feed it doubt, and it will manufacture limitation. Feed it discipline, and it will produce freedom. Feed it dreams, and it will give you direction. When I was young, I worked hard, but my results didn't change much. I thought the problem was the economy, my boss, or bad luck. Then a mentor told me, it's not what's happening around you that determines your future. It's what's happening inside you. That sentence hit me like a thunderbolt. I realized I had built no mental foundation for success. I was working hard with the wrong blueprint. See, the brain is like soil. It doesn't care what you plant. It will grow weeds just as quickly as it will grow flowers. If you plant poverty, thoughts, excuses, fear, laziness, don't expect wealth to sprout. You've got to be the careful gardener of your own mind. That's why every morning should start with a check-in with your mental factory. Before you pick up your phone, before you scroll through the noise of the world, spend 10 minutes giving your mind its daily orders. What do you want to think about today? What do you want to create? What kind of person do you want to become? If you don't instruct your mind, the world will, and trust me, the world is not thinking about your success. Replace gossip with growth. Turn off the noise that fills your brain with scarcity, comparison, and fear. Instead, feed it with good ideas, good books, and good people. When I began reading every day, listening to successful people, and surrounding myself with those who stretched my thinking, I noticed my results changing. Not because the world got easier, but because my mind got stronger. I stopped producing excuses and started manufacturing results. And at night, before you sleep, take 5 minutes to review the day. Ask yourself, what did I learn today that made me wiser, stronger, or more capable? That simple reflection keeps the mental factory clean, organized, and productive. So here's the truth. If you want a better life, don't start with the money. Start with the mind. Wealth is a reflection, not a possession. The poor try to change their income before they change their thinking. The rich understand that the mind is the workshop where all fortunes are built. So guard your factory, feed it well, and it will manufacture a future that will astonish you. One of the most powerful discoveries you'll ever make is this: what you focus on expands. Whatever captures your attention multiplies in your life. If you spend your days thinking about problems, you'll soon have more problems to think about. But if you train your mind to see possibilities, you'll start finding them everywhere. Because opportunity was never missing, only your focus was. The world gives you more of what you notice. Focus is like sunlight. Scattered, it burns nothing. Concentrated, it can light a fire. When I was younger, I used to think I had bad luck. Every time I turned around, something would go wrong, the bills piled up, opportunities slipped through my hands, and nothing seemed to work. Then one day my mentor said, "You don't have bad luck, You just have bad focus. That stung a little, but it was true. I was spending 90% of my energy thinking about what wasn't working, and almost none thinking about how to make it better. The mind is an incredible servant, but a terrible master. It obeys your dominant thoughts. Tell it you're broke, and it will show you more reasons to stay broke. Tell it you're resourceful, and suddenly you'll start seeing options where others see obstacles. The poor and the rich live in the same world, same economy, same air, same opportunities, but they don't see the same things. The poor mind looks for security. The rich mind looks for leverage. The poor mind asks, why me? The rich mind asks, what can I learn? It's all about focus. The rich don't ignore problems, they just refuse to make them the center of their life. They use challenges as raw material for creativity. So here's a simple exercise to reprogram your focus. Take one problem you're facing right now, financial, personal, or professional, and write down 3 possible opportunities hidden inside it. You'll be surprised how quickly your brain shifts from panic to possibility. If you catch yourself complaining, pause and immediately create one solution. Every complaint you replace with a creative idea strengthens your mental muscle for success. Start keeping what I call a possibility journal. Each day, record one insight, one idea, or one chance that showed up because you were paying attention. Over time, you'll notice that your awareness sharpens. You'll spot connections faster, people will bring you opportunities, and you'll find that life seems to open up. But it's not life that changed, it's you. See, average minds are trained by the media to focus on what's wrong. Winners train themselves to focus on what's possible. Whatever you consistently think about, talk about, and expect, that's exactly what expands. So, if you want to build wealth, don't start by asking, where's the money? Ask instead, where's the value? Where's the opportunity? What can I create? Shift your focus from what's missing to what's possible. And watch your entire world begin to multiply. Because the mind, once fixed on opportunity, becomes a magnet for abundance. Your brain is a marvelous machine, powerful, precise, and protective. But here's the secret most people never learn. It's not designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you safe. Safety and success are not the same thing. Your brain's first instinct is to avoid risk, pain, embarrassment, or failure. But wealth, progress, and freedom all live on the other side of that discomfort. So, if you only do what feels safe, you'll spend your life trapped inside your comfort zone, and your comfort zone, if you stay there too long, becomes your cage. I remember a time early in my career when I had the chance to speak in front of a large audience. I was terrified. My mind started whispering excuses. What if you forget your words? What if you embarrass yourself? What if they don't like you? That's the brain doing what it's programmed to do, protect. But protection often means paralysis, and that's where most people stay. Protected, but poor. Comfortable, but unfulfilled. When I finally stepped on that stage, I realized the fear wasn't real. The danger existed only in my imagination. The truth is, growth begins the moment comfort ends. See, your mind has 2 voices. One says, stay safe. The other says, step up. Most people obey the first. Winners train themselves to listen to the second. The brain treats discomfort like danger, but the wealthy rewire their response. They see it as direction. Every time you do something that stretches you, make a difficult call, invest in yourself, or face a fear, you're literally building new neural pathways. You're teaching your brain that discomfort is not a signal to stop, but an invitation to grow. So, make discomfort your training ground. Each day, do one small thing that scares you, not recklessly, but intentionally. Call that client you've been avoiding. Learn that new skill that intimidates you. Ask for that opportunity that makes your heart race. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, it's to act in spite of it. Because courage doesn't mean you're fearless, it means fear no longer decides your future. Whenever your brain says, I can't, switch the language. Ask, how can I? That simple question flips your brain from defense to creativity. It stops protecting you and starts producing solutions. You'll notice that the more you challenge your limits, the further they move. Growth compounds. One uncomfortable step today becomes confidence tomorrow. And don't wait for perfection. Celebrate progress. Every time you lean into discomfort, you're strengthening your wealth muscle. You're teaching your brain that survival isn't enough. Expansion is the goal. The wealthy don't run from discomfort. They use it as fuel. They know that everything they want, freedom, success, abundance, is guarded by a little fear, a little sweat, and a lot of persistence. So remember this, your brain was built to protect comfort. You were built to pursue growth. And the moment you choose growth over comfort, you begin the real journey. From average to extraordinary. From safety to success. Most people spend their lives reacting. They wake up when the alarm goes off, rush through the morning, respond to emails, answer calls, deal with problems, and collapse at the end of the day wondering why nothing really changed. That's poverty thinking, a reactive mindset that waits for life to happen and then complains about the results. Wealthy thinking is the opposite. It's creative. It doesn't wait for opportunity, it builds it. It doesn't watch the economy, it shapes its own. The difference between the poor and the wealthy isn't intelligence, it's initiative. One reacts, the other creates. When I was younger, I used to think that success was something that happened to people, that it came to the lucky or the talented. But then I learned a profound truth. Life responds to the creator, not the complainer. The moment you stop reacting and start designing, everything begins to shift. The wealthy don't wait for a raise, they create a business. They don't wish for change, they plan and execute it. The average person lives by default. The rich live by design. Every day, your mind can either be a thermometer or a thermostat. A thermometer reacts to the temperature around it, that's reactive thinking. A thermostat sets the temperature, that's creative thinking. Most people spend their entire lives measuring conditions instead of making them. They say, the economy's bad, the government's unfair, the market's tough. But creative minds ask, how can I adapt? How can I serve differently? What can I build that solves this problem? That's the difference between waiting for change and creating it. You must start each day as the architect of your future, not the employee of your circumstances. Write down 3 proactive goals every morning, small steps that build momentum. It could be making 1 new connection, improving a product, or learning a skill that increases your value. The goal isn't perfection, it's direction. Each intentional action moves you from reaction to creation. Limit your exposure to noise, especially news and gossip. The news feeds fear and reaction. The rich feed their minds with new ideas, not new scandals. Spend that same time reading, planning, or brainstorming. Ask yourself daily, what can I build this week? It could be a system to manage your money better, a product to sell, or even a new habit that strengthens your discipline. Creation doesn't always start big. It starts with 1 small improvement, done consistently. I've seen it again and again. The people who build wealth are creators. They create solutions, systems, and strategies, while others react to setbacks. When the market drops, they invest. When times get tough, they innovate. They know that waiting makes you dependent, but creating makes you powerful. So, don't just live by reaction, live by intention. Don't just respond to life, design it. The richest life isn't given to you, it's built by you. Every plan you create, every idea you act on, every problem you turn into an opportunity, that's wealth thinking in motion. The day you stop reacting and start creating is the day you stop surviving and start thriving. Your results will never rise above your beliefs. You can read all the books, take all the courses, and chase all the opportunities, but if deep down you believe wealth is wrong, unfair, or impossible for someone like you, your brain will fight you every step of the way. That's the invisible war most people never win. They think their problem is lack of money, but in truth, it's a lack of permission to believe that wealth is possible, good, and deserved. The truth is, your outer world will always be a reflection of your inner one. You can't build a mansion on the foundation of a shack. When I was young, I used to think rich people were lucky, maybe even a little greedy. That's what I heard growing up, that money was the root of all evil. But as I began to study success, I realized that belief was poison. It kept me broke, not because opportunity didn't exist, but because my mind rejected it. You see, your brain filters reality to fit your beliefs. If you believe making money is selfish, you'll subconsciously avoid it. If you believe it's hard, you'll make it harder. But if you believe money is a tool to serve, grow, and give, then your actions, habits, and decisions will align with that belief. Most people were programmed early. They heard phrases like, "We can't afford that," or "money doesn't grow on trees." Those words became mental walls. And as adults, they live inside those walls, never realizing the door was unlocked the entire time. You must begin by auditing your beliefs about money. Write them down. Every thought you've ever held about wealth, success, or rich people. Then ask yourself, is this belief empowering me or limiting me? If it's destructive, replace it with a new one that serves your growth. Start feeding your mind new evidence. Read biographies of those who built wealth from nothing, people who turned struggle into strength. Learn how they thought, how they acted, how they used money as a tool for freedom, not validation. When your brain sees new patterns of success, it rewires itself to believe those outcomes are possible for you too. And then, reinforce that belief every day. Words have power. Begin your day with a simple affirmation. I create wealth through service and growth, not through greed, not through luck, but through value. When you repeat that long enough, your brain starts to believe it, and belief changes behavior. You'll start to notice opportunities instead of obstacles, ideas instead of excuses, and progress instead of pressure. Remember, money doesn't come to those who need it. It comes to those who are ready for it. And readiness begins in the mind. If your belief system can't hold abundance, even if you get it, you'll lose it. So, rebuild your inner foundation first. Because in the end, your beliefs don't just shape your thinking, they build your bank account. The mind is like a muscle. It grows with use and weakens with neglect. Most people don't realize that their financial habits, their emotional reactions, and even their level of confidence are all products of repetition. Whatever you practice daily becomes automatic. If you repeat fear, doubt, and procrastination long enough, your brain builds neural pathways that protect those habits. But the same principle can be reversed. If you start practicing gratitude, focus, and decisive action, even in small doses, your brain rewires itself to expect and create success. That's why the wealthy condition their minds like athletes train their bodies. They don't wait for motivation, they train it into existence. You see, the average person hears something inspiring once and moves on. The wealthy hear the same truth again and again until it becomes part of their thinking. I remember when I first began studying personal development, I listened to the same recordings dozens of times. At first, it felt redundant, but somewhere around the 10th listen, something shifted. The ideas stopped sounding like someone else's wisdom and started becoming my own. That's what repetition does. It transfers knowledge from your ears to your identity. Your brain doesn't learn by information, it learns by imprint. Every day it asks, what's important to this person? And the answer comes from what you consistently feed it. If you spend your morning scrolling through distractions and negativity, your brain assumes chaos is your priority. But if you start your day feeding it something purposeful, a powerful idea, a financial lesson, or a statement of gratitude, your brain starts searching for alignment. It begins to filter the world differently, focusing on possibilities instead of problems. So, build daily rituals that condition abundance. Listen to one positive financial or motivational audio every single day, even if it's only for 15 minutes. Let your commute, your walk, or your quiet time become your classroom. Repeat affirmations that direct your thinking toward growth. Statements like, every day I'm getting better at creating value, or my actions attract opportunities. But don't just say them, act on them. Because repetition without movement becomes noise. Tie your affirmations to daily effort, and soon your mind will link belief with behavior. And review your goals, not once a year, but every morning and every evening. Your mind is a goal-seeking machine, but it needs clarity. The more often you visualize and review where you're going, the more your subconscious begins to align decisions in that direction. Over time, your habits will begin to act on your behalf, even when motivation fades. Remember, your brain learns what you teach it, and you're the teacher. If you let the world train your mind, you'll think like the world, distracted, reactive, and average. But if you train your mind with intention, every day you'll think like the wealthy, focused, disciplined, and unstoppable. Scarcity is not a financial condition, it's an emotional one. Two people can have the same amount of money, yet one feels lack and the other feels abundance. The difference isn't the size of their bank account, it's the size of their vision. You see, fear makes people hold on tight, while wisdom teaches them to let money flow with purpose. Most people save because they're afraid of losing, afraid of running out, afraid of not having enough. But the wealthy, they don't save from fear, they build from faith. Their confidence isn't in the number they have, but in the knowledge that they can create more. That's the great secret. Abundance isn't about what you own, it's about how you think. When you're trapped in scarcity, your brain's first instinct is to protect, not to produce. You start cutting corners, shrinking your dreams, and delaying opportunities. But protection without purpose becomes paralysis. You can't grow by hiding your seed. When you shift your focus from survival to creation, everything changes. You begin to see money as energy, something to be directed, invested, multiplied. You start asking not, what if I lose? But, what can I build? I remember years ago when I had very little to my name, I thought the smartest thing I could do was save every penny, hold on tight, and wait for someday. But someday never came, because my mindset was built on fear, not faith. Then one day I decided to invest, not in stocks, not in real estate, but in myself. I bought books, attended seminars, and surrounded myself with people who thought bigger. That single shift from saving out of fear to investing out of confidence changed my entire trajectory. Because the greatest investment you'll ever make is not in what you have, but in who you become. So, train your brain to think in expansion, not contraction. Don't build a budget just to cut expenses. Build one to fund growth. Set aside money for education, investments, and new opportunities. Allocate your resources like a builder, not a worrier. See, money is a tool to build with, not a shield to hide behind. When you use money with intention, it multiplies. When you hoard it from fear, it stagnates. And whenever that little voice says, I can't afford it, pause and reframe it to, how can I create it? That simple change transforms your brain from a victim into a visionary. It opens up creativity, initiative, and solutions that fear would have never allowed. The truth is, scarcity closes the mind. Abundance expands it. The poor wait for certainty before they act. The rich act to create certainty. When your mind learns to see money as a servant, not a master, you'll stop surviving and start designing. Because abundance doesn't come from what you have, it comes from how you think about what you have. Vision is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, the mind wanders, drifts, and settles for the familiar. But when vision takes root, it trains your brain to recognize patterns, people, and possibilities that others overlook. Average minds see things as they are. The wealthy see things as they could be. One lives by sight, the other lives by insight. That's the power of vision. It sharpens awareness, magnetizes opportunity, and gives meaning to effort. You see, the human brain has an extraordinary filter called the reticular activating system. It decides what gets your attention and what doesn't. The moment you set a clear, emotionally charged vision, your brain begins scanning the world for anything that can help you get there. Suddenly, you notice opportunities that were always around you, but your old mindset ignored them. That's not magic, that's focus. Your mind will always find evidence of what it believes is important. So if your focus is on problems, you'll see more problems. But if your focus is on potential, you'll see doors where others see walls. When I first began my journey, I didn't have much. Not money, not connections, not status, but I had vision. I could see in my mind the man I wanted to become. I could picture the kind of life I wanted to build, the people I wanted to serve, and the contribution I wanted to make. Every decision I made was tested against that image. Does this move me closer or farther? That one question became my compass. And slowly, opportunities began to appear. Mentors, partnerships, and possibilities that matched that mental picture. The outside began to align with what I had already built inside. So many people drift through life because they have no target. They wake up reacting to the day instead of directing it. But wealth doesn't come to the wanderer, it comes to the visionary. You must learn to see the invisible before you can do the impossible. That's why I often say, imagination is not just child's play. It's adult power. Every skyscraper began as a sketch. Every fortune began as a vision. Every great life began with a picture that someone refused to erase. So, take time to write a vivid 5-year vision of your ideal life. Where will you live? What kind of person will you be? How will you serve? How will your money work for you? Then visualize that future daily, not as a dream, but as a decision. Feel it until it becomes familiar. Because once your brain accepts a new identity, your behavior will rise to meet it. Every choice you make, big or small, must answer one simple question. Does this move me closer to my vision or farther away? If it doesn't serve the picture, it doesn't deserve your energy. That's how vision trains the mind. It filters distraction, fuels action, and forges destiny. Because when you can see it in your mind, It's only a matter of time before you can hold it in your hand. The marketplace is not a kind or emotional place. It is fair. It doesn't reward time. It rewards value. You can work 10 hours or 10 years, but if your value doesn't grow, your income won't either. Time is equal for all of us, 24 hours each day. But what separates the average from the wealthy is what they put into those hours. Some people invest their time, others just spend it. The marketplace has no interest in effort alone. It compensates contribution. It measures results, not routines. When I first began working, I thought the way to earn more was simply to work harder. I put in more hours, took fewer breaks, and waited for someone to notice, but nothing changed. Then I learned one of the greatest lessons of my life. The secret wasn't in the hours I worked. It was in the value I created. The rich don't get paid for time. They get paid for outcomes. That realization changed everything. I stopped counting hours and started counting results. And soon, my income followed my growth, not my effort. Your goal, then, is not to do more, it's to become more. If you want to change what you earn, you must change what you bring to the table. The marketplace will always pay you exactly what it believes you are worth. If you don't like the paycheck, it's not the system you should change, it's the skill set. Learn how to solve bigger problems. Small problems pay small checks. Big problems pay big ones. And the more you solve, the more indispensable you become. That's why developing high-value skills is essential. Communication, leadership, persuasion, strategy, investing. Those who can inspire others, organize chaos, and create solutions will never be broke. The question isn't, how long did I work? The question is, how deeply did I serve? Because money always follows usefulness. People don't pay for your presence. They pay for the difference your presence makes. If you spend your days repeating tasks a machine could do, you'll soon be replaced by one. But if you spend your days thinking, learning, and creating solutions, the world will line up to pay for what you know. It's not about hours. It's about impact. That's the difference between an employee mindset and a wealth mindset. Employees ask, how much will I make per hour? Entrepreneurs and investors ask, how much value can I create this hour? So ask yourself today, what problem do I solve, and how deeply do I solve it? If the answer is small, that's your opportunity. Increase your usefulness, and your rewards will grow automatically. Learn one new skill every quarter. Master it, and bring it to the marketplace with confidence. Because when you stop trading time and start trading value, the world opens its doors to you. Remember, the marketplace doesn't pay you for time, it pays you for transformation. The day you become more valuable is the day your wealth begins to reflect it. Money has a way of exposing the truth. It doesn't make you a better person or a worse one. It simply amplifies who you already are. If you're careless when you have a little, you'll be reckless when you have a lot. If you're disciplined when you're broke, you'll be wise when you're wealthy. Money is not the source of wealth, it's the reflection of it. It mirrors your habits, your mindset, your values, and your level of personal growth. That's why I always say, before you chase the fortune, build the foundation. You see, money is a magnifier. It doesn't fix problems, it multiplies them. Give an undisciplined person a fortune, and they'll find a way to lose it. Give a wise person a small seed of opportunity, and they'll find a way to grow it. The key is not to pursue more money, it's to pursue more wisdom. Because once you become the kind of person who can manage, multiply, and respect wealth, the money naturally finds its way to you. It can't help it. I remember when I was young, I thought money would solve all my problems. I believed if I could just earn enough, life would fall into place. But I learned, painfully, that money only solves money problems. The deeper challenges, discipline, patience, gratitude, purpose, those are inner victories. You can't buy them, you must build them. That's why the rich aren't defined by what they own, but by who they've become. The wealthiest people I know are those who first built their character, then built their fortune. So before you ask, how can I make more? Start by asking, who must I become to deserve more? Because wealth without wisdom is a liability. That's why people who win the lottery often lose it. Within years, they received money faster than they developed maturity. They got the prize without the process. And when you skip the process, the blessing becomes a burden. True wealth is not just about earning money, it's about growing into the person who can keep it, use it, and multiply it for good. Integrity plays a big part in that process. Keeping promises, especially to yourself, builds a deep sense of confidence. Each time you do what you said you would do, even in small things, you strengthen your foundation for greater things. Wealth requires that kind of inner trust. You can't manage a fortune if you can't manage your impulses. You can't handle millions if you can't handle the small temptations of today. So let your ambition grow slower than your wisdom. Don't rush to earn more, rush to learn more. Don't chase wealth faster than you build the strength to carry it. Because money will always move toward the person who can manage it, respect it, and multiply it responsibly. When your inner world is rich in integrity, patience, and discipline, your outer world will eventually catch up. Money doesn't change who you are. It only reveals it. So build the person who deserves the wealth, and you'll never have to chase it. It will find its reflection in you. Most people spend their entire lives chasing something called security. They want a safe job, a steady paycheck, a predictable life. But let me tell you a truth that few ever learn. Security is an illusion. Freedom is the reality you build. You see, the average person trades their time, their energy, and even their dreams for a false sense of safety. They believe if they just stay where it's comfortable, life will somehow take care of them. But the world doesn't reward comfort. It rewards courage. It rewards those who choose to create rather than cling. When I was younger, I worked hard for security. I wanted that paycheck, that sense of stability. But one day a mentor told me something I'll never forget. You can either make a living or you can design a life. That struck me deep. I realized I wasn't really living, I was surviving. I was trapped by the very comfort I thought was protecting me. Because here's the truth. When you depend entirely on someone else for your income, you've traded your freedom for a paycheck. You've handed over control of your time, your most precious resource. The rich think differently. They don't work for security, they work for freedom. They understand that freedom doesn't come from a salary, it comes from ownership, creativity, and leverage. Freedom is not the absence of work, it's the ability to choose your work. It's waking up every day knowing you own your time, that your income flows from systems you've built, not hours you've sold. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's designed through discipline and intention. Freedom starts small. It begins with small decisions that move you from dependency to autonomy. When you invest a portion of your income into assets that produce returns, whether it's real estate, a side business, or even a skill that compounds over time, you're building the foundation of freedom. Each dollar you invest is like a little worker out there earning for you even when you're asleep. The rich understand this simple but powerful truth. Every dollar that works for you brings you one step closer to independence. But freedom isn't just financial, it's mental. You have to free your mind before you can free your life. You have to unlearn the belief that security is safety. Safety doesn't come from a job, it comes from capability. When you build competence, you build confidence. And when you have confidence, you no longer fear losing security because you know you can create it again and again. So, ask yourself before every decision, does this move me closer to freedom or further away? Every purchase, every commitment, every hour you spend is either building your independence or burying it. Reduce the obligations that steal your time and bring you no growth. Use that time to build something that serves your future instead of just your present. The rich don't pray for safety, they prepare for freedom. And when you shift your focus from comfort to control, from fear to faith, from wages to wealth, that's when life opens up. Freedom is not found, it's forged. And the moment you decide to take ownership of your life, your mind, and your time, that's the moment you begin to live. One of the biggest traps people fall into is the need to look successful before they actually become successful. You see, we live in a world where people buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. And that's why so many stay broke. They confuse image with income, appearance with achievement. But wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. Real success isn't about how it looks, it's about how it lasts. The poor often spend to impress. They buy the newest gadget, the flashiest car, the designer clothes, not because these things add value, but because they feed the ego. They mistake temporary admiration for long-term progress. But the rich, they think differently. They buy not to look rich, but to become richer. They understand that every dollar spent is a soldier. It can either fight for your future or die in your present. And every time you spend for image, you weaken your army. I remember when I started making a little extra money, I thought it was time to look the part. I bought the suits, the watch, the car, all the symbols of success. But do you know what I realized? None of those things added $1 to my income. In fact, they took money out of my future. I was dressed like a millionaire, but thinking like a consumer. So I made a decision. I stopped buying to impress and started investing to progress. I traded consumption for creation. That decision changed everything. The truth is, money has two directions. It either flows toward your future or away from it. The average person spends emotionally. They buy to feel better now. The wealthy spend strategically. They invest to live better later. Before they buy, they ask one simple question. Will this make me money or cost me money? And if it doesn't serve their goals, they pass. That kind of discipline may look boring to the world, but it's the quiet power behind freedom. Delaying luxury isn't about deprivation, it's about preparation. The wealthy enjoy luxury too, but they let their assets pay for it. They buy the car after their investments cover the payment. They take the vacation after their business produces passive income. They let their money work so they can rest. You see, the joy of luxury multiplies when it doesn't come with financial pressure. So, train your brain to see money as a tool, not a trophy. Let every purchase have a purpose. Before you spend, pause and ask, will this help me grow? If not, save it or invest it. Replace instant gratification with intelligent allocation. Redirect the same energy you use to impress others toward building something that impresses your future self. Because here's the truth. The world may applaud your possessions today, but your bank account will tell the real story tomorrow. Spend less on appearances and more on assets. Don't spend to look rich. Invest to become free. And one day, when your wealth works while you rest, you'll realize progress is the best impression of all. If there's one skill that can change your entire financial destiny, it's the ability to sell. I don't care what industry you're in. Everything begins with a sale. The job you got, the client you landed, the idea you convinced your partner to believe in, it all started with persuasion. The truth is, nothing moves until something is sold. Sales isn't about manipulation. It's about communication with purpose. It's about transferring belief in your product, your idea, or yourself. And once you learn that, you'll realize selling is not just a business skill, it's a life skill. When I was young and broke, I thought sales was something for slick talkers or natural extroverts. I was shy, uncomfortable, and afraid of rejection. But then I discovered something that changed my thinking. Sales wasn't about being loud or pushy. It was about understanding people. It was about listening more than talking, caring more than convincing. I started studying human behavior, body language, tone, confidence. I realized that people don't buy products, they buy trust, certainty, and emotion. They buy when they feel understood. Once I learned that, selling became natural. I wasn't pushing, I was helping. I wasn't closing, I was connecting. The first time I made a sale, I didn't just make money, I made belief. I learned that every skill I'd ever need in business started there. Because if you can't sell, you can't lead. You can't build a team, raise capital, inspire customers, or move ideas forward. Everything in life is a form of selling your vision, your dream, your purpose. So the first step to building wealth is mastering communication with conviction. But here's what separates the average from the wealthy. Once they learn to sell, they learn to scale. They understand that one-on-one is good, but one-to-many is freedom. I started automating my sales systems, documenting my process, and teaching others to do what I could do. I built duplication into my work. Because real success isn't when you can sell a product, it's when your system can sell it without you. That's how you multiply results, income, and impact. You see, selling creates cash flow. Scaling creates wealth. At first, it's about your ability. Later, it's about your systems. So, once you know how to sell effectively, start building frameworks. Automate your follow-ups. Create digital funnels. Develop training for your team. Teach others to carry your vision with the same fire and conviction. Leadership is selling multiplied. Never be ashamed to sell. Be ashamed to have something valuable and keep it hidden. Selling is serving. The more people you help, the richer your life becomes. So practice explaining your value clearly and confidently. Don't just talk, connect. Don't just pitch, inspire. Learn to sell with integrity, then build systems that sell while you sleep. Because when you learn to sell, you'll start earning, but when you learn to scale, you'll start living free. As we close, remember this: your brain is the architect of your destiny. It can build walls of limitation or bridges of wealth. The choice is yours. The rich aren't born different, they think different, act different, and stay consistent. Don't leave this room inspired, leave it instructed. Take one principle you've learned today and apply it before the day ends. Rewire your mind daily for growth, discipline, and possibility. Because when your thinking changes, your life must follow.